Okay, we are going to make a die from scratch, just like it says right here. Let's start. So, a few things here. This is still a tutorial, so you're getting the orange hints over here, and you're getting instructions over here. And this is a really useful one for learning how to use a thing called the work plane. Okay, so it says begin by finding the blank die shape in the shapes panel. You could also use a cube for this, but why not use another object that's more fun? So in the shapes panel, we got all kinds of stuff down here. Okay, and if we go down to more shapes, oops. If we go down to more shapes, then you can see there is our die right there. Boom, dice. And then I'm going to click it and drag it right to there. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, see what I'm doing. Now, an interesting, fun thing you can do is you can use your arrow keys actually to move this stuff around. And boom, I got it perfectly. That is called snap to grid, okay? And if you look down here, you see your snap grid is set at 1 millimeter. If you click 5 millimeters every time you tap the button, it jumps a lot farther. Okay? And if you click 0.1 millimeters, it moves a tiny bit each time I tap the key. You can also turn the snap grid off. And that is like a teeny tiny little bit that it goes and moves around. And it's just a tiniest bit. Okay, I'm going to undo that. Perfect. I'm going to put my snap grid back on 1 millimeter because that's the default and that's how I like it. All right, next step. We are going to locate the work plane tool. This is a new thing, okay? Work plane tool right here. You can press W if you want for the shortcut, but I just like the work plane right here. Now, remember, oops, I'm going to unclick that for a second. The work plane is this blue area. We are going to put in a new work plane, all right? And we are going to drag the work plane onto the top right here, and you can see that it just goes flat. You can also drag it to this side, and it goes flat over there. And remember that all of these curves here are actually made up of lots and lots of tiny little flat planes. So you could put the work plane right there if you wanted. And that could be helpful, but it also could not be, depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to put the work plane right on top. Now what that means is when I drag a new shape onto our work plane, it's not going to drag it onto that old blue work plane, okay? It's going to drag it onto the orange one, and you can see there's the work plane is now on top of the die, okay? It's not the one where that's under the die, the blue one. We're working on the orange one. So we're looking for the number 1. So I'm going to go up here to basic shapes, and I'm going to go letters and numbers. Boom, and then I can click these numbers over here. And look, I got my 1. And take my 1, and when I drag it, it goes right on top of that work plane, the orange one, the new one. And since it was lined up with that surface on top of the die, there we go. All right, now I'm going to see if that's lined up. It's pretty good. I'm going to line it up a little more. Yeah, I think that's lined up. Now, perfect. So next step. Blah, 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 change your view, change the snap grid. Okay, so we're going to drag the work plane tool, and we're going to put it along the other side of the die. Oh, one thing I forgot. Or wait, does it have me do that later? Or, yep, I missed that step. Okay, so we are going to take this 1, and we are going to drag it down 1 millimeter, okay? Drag it down 1 millimeter. And I am going to take this little guy right here, and I can click and drag it, and it'll show me if I got 1 millimeter or not. And since we're on the snap grid and it's snapping to 1 millimeter, we nailed it. Boom. All right, so now this 1 is overlapping this die shape by 1 millimeter. Okay, next step. We are going to grab the work plane tool, and we're going to drag it over here. And now our work plane is a totally different place than it was before. And you'll notice like there is kind of an up and down on these things, but also you can turn in like full 360 mode in XYZ axes, okay? So yeah, there's an up and down, but you can change where the up and down is depending on where the work plane goes. Okay, so now I am going to drag the number 2 and put it right on top here. And it matches up with the work plane because the work plane matches up with, oh, perfect. That's good enough. The work plane matches up with the side that we put the work plane onto. All right, so I'm going to click this and I'll zoom out a little bit. Oops. And zoom in a little over here. There we go. So I got my little up and down arrow here. So if I click it and I drag it, I can drag it up and down by 1 millimeter. I can also go here and click in -1 and it'll jump down 1 millimeter. If I clicked 1, it'll go there. And if I click 2, it'll go there. So if I click -1, it'll go down. Minus is down, positive is up. Okay, so there, we got that now. We got that all good to go. Now that we have our number 1 and our number 2 in there, we're going to do next step. All right, grab the work plane and we're going to move it onto this side of the die over here. So I hit Control click, Control and left click, and then I move so I can see what I'm doing. And then I put the work plane right there. So now when I drag this number, what do they want us to do next? Number 3. I'm going to put it right on that work plane. Look at that. Okay, and so here we go. I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag it down. Where's the black arrow? There it is. And I'm going to drag it down 1 millimeter, -1. Perfect. Now we're going to go over to this other work plane. Control click this other side and put a work plane there. All right, boom. Click and drag the work plane onto there. And there we go. Next step. You want to know a fun fact about dice, about 6-sided dice? The opposite sides of each die add up to the number 7. So 3 is always going to have 4 on the other side, if it's a legit die and not just, you know, something junky. Okay, so I'm going to move him over just a tad. You know, I'm going to move this to 0.25, and then I can move better. There we go. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, now I'm going to Control click, move over here, find that little black arrow, and nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to move it down 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1. There we go. All right, next step. You better believe it. We're putting the work plane in a new place. And since we have 2 over here, 2 plus 5 is 7. Got it? All right. I'm going to adjust a little bit here. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to move him down. Oh, we are in like, let's zoom out here. Okay. And then zoom back in. Oh, we've got a little black arrow guy, and I'm going to go down to -1. Perfect. And since we have 1 over here, that's right, this one is going to be a 6. So we're going to take our work plane and drag it here. Oops. See, now I messed up. I put the work plane in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is just undo. All right, because remember, you can't mess up forever because undo is your best friend. All right, there we go. Putting that work plane in the right spot now. Perfect. Okay. Now, it's obviously upside down, so now it's a 9, but it's a 6-sided die, so we know that this is actually a 6, not a 9. All right, drag that 6 into place. Boom. I'm going to get it adjusted with my arrow keys here, set to snap grid at 0.25 millimeters, and check it out. I have, forgot a step. I forgot to click and drag this arrow up to -1. All right, there we go. Now, we can do this thing where we can reset the work plane back to that blue one, the defaults, by dragging a new work plane and not putting it on a surface anywhere, but just putting it like anywhere. Boom. And now we are back to our original blue work plane. Ta-da! And we got our wonderful die here. Now, this die would roll really terribly. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to make him a hole all of these numbers are going to be turned into holes with our little change to hole option here. Hole, 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 hole. And control, click, and drag to move your view around. And hole, 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 hole. Now, those holes are dipped into this shape by 1 millimeter on each side. So, next step, we're going to select all the numbers and set them to be holes. We just did that. Now select all the shapes, including the die, and group them. So here's a couple of things. We got bundle, that's not what we want. And we got union group, okay? That's what we want. And because we have a hole crossing over a solid shape, we're going to click that. And boom, look what happened. Where the holes overlapped, all of those, that solid shape got cut out in those places where we wanted it to be, where we wanted it to happen. And now I'm going to pick a new color for my die. I'm going to go with kind of like this yellow right here. We're going to have a yellow die. What's cool about this, about Tinkercad, is if you have access to a 3D printer, you could go and actually print this thing that you made. You could print this die, which is pretty darn cool. I'll go over how to export files for that later on. All right, good job. You did it. Yay, stars.